It's Writer's Dream Time. This is a show where I hope you are enjoying and tuning in and enjoying our conversations with authors about how they write their books, how they publish them, and how they market them. I'm Linda Maria Frank, and you can find us on YouTube. Just search for The Writer's Dream. You can also find us on our Facebook page, which is The Writer's Dream. If you are an author or you are involved in any way in the book business, you can message me on the Facebook page and I will get back to you and we'll see if we can schedule having you on for one of these very interesting conversations. Today's guest is Carolyn Harding. Welcome, Carolyn.
Thank you.
Carolyn Harding is an author. She's authored a book called Memories. She is also an accomplished international musical recording star.
I wouldn't say star,
I
but
won't
artist.
even say how many years because, oh, sure, you're a star, right? And she's with us today to talk about her very interesting musical career and how it led to her writing a book. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Carolyn.
Well, born in England, raised in the Air Force with my dad, ending up here in New York, going to school in Roosevelt, Long Island, which is famous all by itself. That's where the stars are. I started singing in high school, and one thing led to another, and I actually just never stopped singing. I grew to have a deep love for using what people consider my gift to inspire others, and that led to the book.
So was there anything in particular in your life, anybody who helped you out to get you to the point where you actually started to record your music? Did you record in high school?
I did. I was in a local community play. The name of the play was Rich Like an Alabama Sheriff, okay? And a lady in the audience, Lori Butler, saw me in that play and decided she needed to be my manager. I was in high school at the time, and she's the one who actually started me to actually recording. And she took me back and forth into the city after school, and I worked with a producer called John Grossbart, who was right there, I think it was 32nd Street, so 31st Street, around that area near Penn Station. And I recorded for like 2 or 3 years. Never had a release, but I was in the studio. I don't know what that was all about, but they certainly prepared me for a recording career. And
Which is probably really important.
Absolutely.
So did you, after high school, just go professionally as a musician?
I got my first job as a vocalist at Disney World. On the way to one of the recording sessions in New York City, I picked up the Backstage magazine and or the newspaper, and found this audition. And I asked Lori if I could give it a go, and lo and behold, I got that job. And right after high school, they flew me into Florida, and I worked for almost 2 years.
What did you do at Disney World?
They designed a show around me. I was the first live entertainment at the Tomorrowland Terrace.
Wow.
Yeah, the very first. Before me, when the park opened, it was Michael Eisberg. It was a synthesizer, a huge synthesizing machine, and the mad pianist, so to speak. And after that, I was the first live performance in that place. I think I did maybe 10,000 performances there.
So did that lead to anything, usually in a career like this, one thing leads to another. So you worked there for how long?
Back and forth, all total, maybe 3-4 years,
That's not too long.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's long in dog years.
Must have been fun, though.
Yeah, it was. I was very young, Disney World. I was alone. First time I lived out of the house. I think it was a very fun time.
So what was the next big step in your musical career?
Coming back home from Disney World and back into the studio, and actually having records being released, and that was a big thing, and that was in the 80s. We started into a thing that moved from disco, the disco era, into what they called a dance era, and the dance era moved into something that they called house music, and somehow I got involved with this dance music through my brother, who recommended that was the big deal at the time, so I should sing that music as opposed to my little Barbra Streisand sound. He wanted me to really belt it out. So I found some very nice folks that would take me into the studio and record this dance music. I actually had to get a gig in a studio and be like an apprentice sound engineer to meet these people. And that's
Yeah, but it's an education, isn't it?
Everything.
And it's really a good idea, I think, to know all aspects of what you're doing.
Absolutely.
So that when you listen, I mean, I know so little about music. It's I can't even carry a tune in a bucket. So.
Oh, I believe everyone is a singer.
Well, I don't know. But I would imagine that when you listen to your recordings, it really helps to know what they're doing with the soundboard and whatnot. So
the whole language you have
Yeah.
to understand, yes.
So explain to me what dance music is. Give me some examples.
So, if you remember disco, everybody
Oh, I
knows
loved
disco.
disco.
Okay, so you know the syncopation of the disco music. Well, that morphed into a thing that had a beat that was just a driving beat.
Okay.
Okay, and that was dance music. Now, this dance music became a little more soulful, and that became house music. And then everyone in the world took off.
Why house music? Why would they call it house music?
There's a debate about that. The pioneering DJs that really took off with it played in two places, one in Chicago at a place called the Warehouse, and one in Manhattan called the Paradise Garage. And these two DJs,
Promoted that music.
Yeah, they promoted the music. It's said that it came from the Warehouse where Frankie Knuckles DJ'd. He was one of our greatest. And but meanwhile, back at the garage where Larry Levan was DJing, we were starting to call it house music there. Now Frankie Knuckles would play at the garage also. And I mean, this is just my opinion, but the folks that really are into house music have their own opinions, and I try to stay on the outside of the controversies. But that's what I believe. Between the Warehouse and then him coming to New York and sharing this, we all just kind of called it house. And then someone made a record, and it would. They, inspired this thing called the House Music Nation, so, and it was world house music, and then it just evolved all over the place, so.
I guess, I'm really going to give away the whole store. I was, I guess, about 13 years old, 12 or 13 years old, when Alan Freed came on the scene.
Okay.
And so I have seen the evolution of music from the big band sound during World War II. And post-World War II, through rock and roll to everything that's happened since.
Right.
And it amazes me how quickly it changes, how quickly the taste in music changes. What's your favorite type of music?
Well, I can't claim an absolute favorite because I love it all, and that's really unfair. Like you, I love big band music. Here I am, a house music diva, according to these fans of mine. And
good to have fans.
Yeah, and I love big band music, jazz, blues, gospel, R&B, neo-soul. House music is a part of my heart, mainly because of my brother who introduced it to me. And my whole family took on to it, so that's really the big...
Binds you together.
Yeah. But jazz, big band, and the blues, I sing all the time. That's what drives me.
Do you think that most of the music genre that are prevalent or popular today grew out of jazz, blues, and
I think it
big
started
band?
with gospel. I think it started, you know,
Well, definitely rhythm and blues.
yeah,
Sure.
started in, you know, can I say this? The cotton field? I don't know. With the, you know, the spirituals.
Sure.
Spirituals is what moved everything, you know? And it made blues, rock and roll came from that, you know? And it just keeps, we keep borrowing and picking and pulling and pushing, and it's all, you know, it's all fused. To me, you can't have one without the other.
Now, in your career, because it's obviously a long enough career to make this judgment, have you found that the use of the internet has changed how music gets out to people, and also the rapidity with which music changes or integrates different kinds of music?
I think the invent of this internet was the lifesaver for musicians, artistic people in general. I can recall in the early 80s when I was trying to get the big major deal, and I was kind of stuck in house music, which is underground, right? The label managers were saying, well, you should release your own label. Put your own label out there and release your own records. And I'm like, are you serious? How? It doesn't come with instructions, you know. No one's giving information. They're just telling you what to do. And it was ridiculous. It was just
There's no venue.
ridiculous thought, yeah.
Yeah.
But now with the internet, absolutely.
It's the same with the books, though, isn't it?
With the book and with anything. With the internet, you have your audiences, the universe, basically, you know, if anyone else is out there. And you can just market and push your own product and be in control. Cuts out the middlemen, you know, all of the middlemen.
Yeah, I look at it as your website on the internet or wherever you decide to, whether it's a blog or somebody else's website. It's like a store.
Absolutely.
It's
My
like
boutique.
It's a store or a studio or a restaurant or a theater,
Label.
whatever you want it to be. And you as a person who is completely unknown can get out there and possibly be noticed. I oftentimes, and we'll get into your book in a minute, I oftentimes think with my own books, what do I really want to accomplish?
Right.
You know, when I started writing, I didn't really think in terms of bestseller or anything like that. I really just wanted to, I'm a storyteller. I like to tell stories, and I taught all my life. So I wanted to tell stories to kids, and good stories with mystery, history, and science, and all kinds of stuff. But at this point, I'm publishing my 4th book in the series, and I'm thinking to myself, what do I really want out of this? You know, how much exposure do I want? Stardom never enters into my head, but it's the amount of satisfaction that you can get out of what you're doing, and I'm still really not sure what that is. So how did you decide to write a book?
Well, I believe, and I passionately believe this, that this house music that I stumbled upon needed to be documented. We're, like you said, it's fast moving. Now there's a whole nother generation. Next generation, house music will be gone. No one will even know, much less remember, this era that happened here in this country. So
Except PBS, right?
hopefully,
PBS remembers everything.
But you know, it's a huge underground movement that happened in this country. Started, like I said, in the early 80s. A lot happened in this country in the early 80s. AIDS came and happened to us in this country. And it kind of ties together with that genre of music. And you know, there's so many people that came and went so quickly. They're legendary in our little world, and they would be completely forgotten, unknown to so many. So I wanted to inspire the other artists, mainly the vocalists, because we became obsolete right away, to document their experience in house music so that it wouldn't be forgotten. You know, in my case, my personal experience, my brother, you know, my family's experience with this music and that time in our lives. But more importantly, this music took off all around the rest of the world. It's major around the entire rest of the world, but it's still underground in this country. So everywhere else, it's big time. You know, it's their rock and roll. But they need to know the truth about what happened here in the beginning.
So this is, you're involved in music preservation, that's one of your pet projects, and is this?
It's a part of it because along with the community that I grew up in, those children aren't familiar with big band music too much. They don't know too much about that.
You wonder what they're familiar with sometimes.
It's all different, you know.
Yeah.
But their different is going to be something that they are going to want to preserve for the future generations of their time. So, I'm not upset about any of it. I just would like to encourage some preservation here.
So the memories in the book are not just yours, they're the memories of the people who were
involved at that
during the 80s, people you want to remember. Are they all gone?
No,
Some
not all
are
of them.
still living?
Yes. So I just wanted, it's the same memory, but from different perspectives. So I thought that would be interesting. It was, for me, a cleansing process as well, because as I was going through this time musically, personally, I was going through a lot. My brother getting sick with AIDS and dying. Okay.
That was a tough time.
That was a very tough time. Meeting my daughter's father, my first husband, very turbulent. Got through that, you know. Then meeting my second husband.
I have one of those too.
Getting through that, but
I had one of those.
at the time of the book, he was still my husband.
I know.
But you'll read his part. Okay, so he'll tell about himself. I don't want to talk about it.
Would you like to read something from the book?
No.
Okay. That's funny.
I'd rather talk about it and forget about it.
All right.
But my mom and dad are very strong in the book. My mom was a character. We called her Grandma Bucci. That was her nickname that she hated. But we wanted her to, kind of fall in love with the name because no one was going to stop saying it. Mm-hmm. So why fight it, So we wanted to create a situation where she would